Well, hello, and welcome back to the Open Debate. My name's Elder. I'll be your host for this evening, this afternoon, this morning, whenever you choose to be tuning into this wild event. So, today you are watching This Week in Review. And today we're reviewing what I consider to be Toronto craziness. What is going on in Toronto? Well, Toronto's a city that I live about an hour outside of, so I don't necessarily always have this perspective in the forefront of my view, but when I do head there, I see this type of rhetoric quite often. And so, yesterday, Chick-fil-A was in the news quite a bit, and there were a lot of Torontonians protesting the arrival of Chick-fil-A into the city. And I think that it really represents a culture that has gone a little too far. Outrage culture, to be exact. When you see the way people were acting, and peaceful protest is fine, and that's all that happened. I didn't hear of any violence, and therefore I'm happy about that. But when you see the outrage and the lack of information that individuals have, and what people are outraged about, it really puts into perspective how lucky we are to live in the society that we do live in. So I have a few interviews from people that went down there yesterday. I actually wasn't aware that it was opening up. I'm, space case. But if I had, I would have went down and got some interviews myself. That actually brings me to the thing that I'd like to talk about before we get into anything. If you notice, I have this screen pulled up here, just the Chick-fil-A Toronto protest is what I typed into YouTube, and this is what pops up. If you can see, CTV News, right? I don't have my glasses on, so CTV News was at the top. City News Toronto, BNN Bloomberg, Toronto Sun, the opening day at BlogTO, Rebel Media, ABC, Action News, City News Toronto, Extra, which when you start to play it, it seems like it's a news organization. So there are a few. Christ for Forgiveness, Anthony Brian Logan, Penn Live, but it's pretty hard to find just random individuals who are taking footage of the event and of the protests. And you would assume that there were lots of people. This is one of the only things I could find. I didn't do much research looking into it, but just quickly, you think that you would find a lot of individuals and real sources. But this was the only thing quickly that I found from a real individual person. And just look at how terrible this is. The quality, I mean. Right, and so, I mean, if that's the only thing that I can find, that's not a good sign, because that was a terrible grainy video that barely showed anything, a little bit of the die-in, or whatever you want to call it, and we should be able to have a real individual's perspective of the events that were happening, not just from news sources. Even if they're from small independent news sources, we should be able to still have just independent individual people showing us real life events. It's kind of scary, the fact that this information isn't just readily there for people, because I'm sure that there were people taking videos of the events. Still from Freebird Media Canada. Let's check it out. Not too bad. And like we said before, I'm happy that a lot of things were peaceful and they were just there making a ruckus and causing commotion. But it's the reason as to why they were there. Why were they there? They think, in my mind, from what I've seen from the interviews, certain individuals feel as though Chick-fil-A coming into the city is a negative outlook on the gay community, because one of the CEOs holds values that they disagree with. It doesn't even make sense. Everybody likes the chicken sandwiches. This isn't even necessarily what this entire program is going to be about today, but it showcases the outrage that is perpetuated by the left, especially here in Canada and in Toronto in general. And that's what we're focusing on. How insane Toronto has become over the past few years and how the citizens have just let it happen. It's actually mind-boggling and somewhat frightening. And for a lot of cities throughout the United States, I think that this is a good place to look as to where your cities will eventually become and be going in the future if you let leftist agendas fully take over your entire political market. There needs to be a balance in between the two. They're like too far left, too far right, you're gonna run into problems, I tell you right now. But yeah, if you want to support the channel or just have your voice heard, you can always head on over to Super Chat. What is it? Streamlabs, and donate through Super Chat. And yeah, here I'll put a link in the chat there below. And if you want, you can put in a little message or whatever, and it'll pop up on the screen looking something like this.
This is a test donation for CA dollar.
Yeah, so just a good interactive way to get everybody talking and part of the stream. But yeah, I'm going to show a few interviews from actual news organizations, like I just said, because that's pretty much the only information that you can find on the protest that happened yesterday in Toronto, and it will give a little bit more of an overview around the insanity that was happening there.
It is a wildly popular fast food chain south of the border that is stirring up controversy as it opened its doors here in Toronto.
The owner is accused of homophobia and is openly against gay marriage. CTV's Janice Golding is at the Toronto location of Chick-fil-A, where lineups of customers have been met with lineups of protesters. Janice.
That's right, Michelle. The protesters have finally gone away, although they were here most of the morning and afternoon, shouting, very angry with denouncements of Chick-fil-A. However, as you can see, the lineup of customers has not diminished. In fact, it goes right around the block. The people who are on the corner here right behind me say they've already been waiting for 40 minutes, and they still probably have another half hour to go. Brandishing signs like "Cluck Off" and Chick-fil-A abusing people and animals, protesters expressed their outrage over the opening of the first Chick-fil-A in Toronto.
No chicken is worth my life. No chicken is worth my dignity.
The group gathered here say the U.S. fast food giant has given millions to anti-LGBTQ organizations and is a proponent of conversion therapy. In fact, in 2012, the company's president spoke out against same-sex marriage, saying he was in favor of the biblical definition of the family unit.
This is not about fried chicken. This is about something so much bigger than that. This is about social justice. This is about hate-fueled values.
We are known for being the most ethno-racially diverse city in the world. Torontonians love diversity. We don't love Chick-fil-A, and we're just here to let people know who maybe didn't know about Chick-fil-A's horrible human rights record.
Still, as much as protesters made their concerns clear, customers waiting in line wouldn't be deterred from sampling the cuisine.
It was so good. Chicken's amazing, guys. Eat more chicken. Delicious. Really, really good.
When I heard Chick-fil-A is opening in Canada, I got so excited and glad to be part of day one.
Still others had a message of their own, one of support for Chick-fil-A and the company's values.
You know, God bless Chick-fil-A. It's great food, and they have a right to stand for their convictions.
I believe in the definition of marriage in a biblical way as well.
In fact, evangelical Christian leader Charles McVitie stood in line for a sandwich today and accused the protesters surrounding him of attacking Christianity.
There's no evidence. What, because they give money to family values? that's promoting hatred. This is nonsense. This is just anti-Christian bigotry. Attack them because they're Christians.
Meanwhile, the operator of the Young and Bloor franchise issued this message today. We respect people's right to share their opinion and want all Torontonians to know they are welcome at Chick-fil-A Young and Bloor. Our focus is on offering a welcoming and respectful environment, and we encourage people to give us a try. And no matter how loudly people protest, Chick-fil-A says it plans to open 15 more locations in the GTA over the next 5 years. McVitie has organized the 20th.
Well, I didn't know that. Wow, they're going to open up 15 more locations. Well, they're going to have to figure out a better way to protest than that, because people obviously want the chicken. Now, that was if you're here in Canada, this is what would have been airing on the news. The scary thing is that in Canada, the news organizations are all government. Like anything that you'd see on TV, it's all government organizations, and therefore you are getting such a biased point of view. All the information that you receive is skewed. But we'll continue on. I was gonna watch another one from City TV, but I mean, like, I've had enough of it already. We'll just go to the Rebel. I think I pulled this up on another stream earlier, but it showcases a little bit more in depth to the real world, or the real. They ask a little bit more in-depth questions and with a little bit more. They ask more questions to more people, I guess is all that really happens. They're also biased as well, skewed the other way, and so keep that in mind. But it's good to have both perspectives.
So these protesters say that everyone here in this lineup is racist.
I'm not racist.
Do you hate gays?
No.
No. We're actually both gay and engaged. So, yeah.
I'm definitely not racist, as you
the-
can tell.
Are you Muslim?
Yeah, Muslim.
Are you racist?
No, I don't believe so.
Are you Islamophobic?
I'm not Islamophobic.
You hate gays?
No, I don't hate gays.
But you like fried chicken?
I like fried chicken.
And that's
I
why
like the
you're
Rebel News.
We're standing here on the corner of Young and Bloor, and a Chick-fil-A restaurant is about to open here. You can see this lineup. It goes around the block. We're expecting some protesters to show up who think that somehow a fried chicken restaurant is going to destroy the gay agenda. We're not sure exactly what the reasoning is. There's also some animal rights activists that are going to be showing up too. I'm not so concerned about them. They're not here right now. I want to go speak with the folks who have taken time out of their day. It's 9 a.m. on a work day. It's Friday, and they're waiting in line. Some of these people, I think, have been waiting here for hours, if not since last night. So we're going to go chat with some of them and see why they are taking time out of their day for fried chicken. This is your spot number one.
Yeah, I've been here since 10:30 last night.
10:30 last night. Was it a cold night or was it okay?
It was okay. It wasn't bad. We were expecting rain. Thank God it didn't. But yeah, it was. I have a sleeping bag and everything, and I was ready to camp out.
Have you had Chick-fil-A before?
Never.
Really?
Yeah.
So what has caused this dedication?
My friends have it. They go to the States a lot and they rave about it, and I watch YouTubers rave about it all the time. So I'm just excited to see how it goes and what it's all about.
Why are you so dedicated for Chick-fil-A?
Good chicken, man.
What do you expect when you get in?
I expect one of the best chicken sandwiches available in Canada.
Do you think that the gay agenda is going to be able to recover now that a Chick-fil-A is opened here in Toronto?
Probably not.
It's over?
Yeah, it's over.
I think they got to try the chicken, and I think they'll get over it pretty quick.
We found our fellow here. Do you think that the gay agenda will ever recover now that a Chick-fil-A is opened here in Toronto?
I'm just here for the food, man.
There's supposed to be some protesters here. I think at 10:30 they're slated to show up, and there's all.
That's my guy. He's just here for the chicken, man. As you could hear, though, everybody, like pretty much everybody in the line that they asked, that they showed on camera, they were just there for the chicken. You know, they just wanted to get some good food. And I mean, like, who's going to Chick-fil-A to? I heard there were counter protests coming, but once again, you saw what I typed in, just Toronto, or Chick-fil-A Toronto protests. I didn't see any counter protests. I didn't see any real protests, any individual videos. So who would go there just to be like, hey, guess what? We hate gay people, and we also like chicken, and so that's why we want Chick-fil-A here. Like, come on. People just want their chicken. But what do the protesters feel? How do they feel?
Obviously some police protection here. Do you think that the police are needed?
I don't think they're needed, but it's always a good to have them just in case it does escalate, because some protesters can get very violent, but we'll see. Hopefully it doesn't go that way. I'm praying that it doesn't. Love is love, and love has no gender, so we should accept everyone. Don't judge a book by its cover.
I think the efforts are, misdirected. The energy's misdirected.
Hi, why are you here today?
Just to make sure that people know what their money is going towards, and that they shouldn't be supporting things that are discriminating against LGBTQ plus people.
Really good. Looking good. Will the gay agenda ever recover from this Chick-fil-A opening? This chicken restaurant has been open for about 20 minutes now. Many people have walked in. Do you think that the gay agenda will ever recover from this blow?
Girl, seriously? This blow? So this was actually just like a thing that we want to try and shut down. The gay agenda has nothing to recover from. We're doing fine.
God bless.
Chick-fil-A.
I think that's the most telling part of this entire interview, or this entire video. And we'll go back. He asks the question, same as everyone. Now that Chick-fil-A has come, do you think that it's a devastating blow to the gay community? Do you think they'll ever recover? And the cackle and that response. This was just something that we wanted to get shut down. What? Are you actually serious? And you're gonna promote yourself as that being your agenda? We don't really care. We actually just want to shut this thing down. Like, okay, once again, I've said it before, but if you wanted to get people on your side, that's not the way to do it.
20 minutes now. Many people have walked in. Do you think that the gay agenda will ever recover from this blow?
Girl, seriously? This blow? So this was actually just like a thing that we want to try and shut down. The gay agenda has nothing to recover from. We're doing fine.
God bless.
Chick-fil-A has to get the hell out of Toronto.
I don't think there's any such thing as a gay agenda, and I don't think that it's been heard any.
You're protesting.
Yes.
It's unusual for the old white men to be on this side of the protest.
Not usually, not if you've got any morals.
It's been open for 20 minutes, and they've sold tens of chicken sandwiches. Do you think that the LGBT community will ever be able to recover from this?
I hope we can. God knows we're going to fight for it.
I think we will, because in a sense that, we're out here protesting against this.
Do you think the LGBT will ever recover?
The gay agenda is very strong in Toronto. I hope this place is closed up within a month.
I'd say probably a good 3 dozen or so people have gone in there already. One of them had a Make America Great Again hat on. Do you think that these people who are coming here have racist intentions?
Racist, homophobic, it all overlaps, right? A lot of these people, they have a lot of the same values, and it's not just about homophobia. A lot of these people are also racist.
There was someone in a Make America Great Again hat in this lineup. Do you think they're relishing in this homophobia?
Of course. I mean, it's 2019. Let's all be very honest. We're all educated enough and we're all savvy enough to be able to pay attention. If you're not going to pay attention and know what you're supporting or the ethics behind your supporting, come on now. It's not something we can just shake off and pretend it's not going on anymore.
So, this dude is the classic Torontonian hipster. He didn't say anything that wasn't correct. You should know what you're supporting, and be aware of of the things that you support and the people that you're around, if you're going to be around certain individuals that hold different views than you do. But also, people are allowed to have different views, and fully do your research, right? People just have different views. So if you feel as though the CEO of a company can't guess what? If I found out that the owner of Chick-fil-A was racist and didn't even want black people in his restaurants, but he couldn't stop them, I'm still getting that chicken sandwich because I want it. I want the chicken sandwich. I don't care about who the people are that are making me the chicken sandwich or that have given other people the opportunity to be employed in order to make the chicken sandwich. I just want that damn sandwich. I don't know how many times I'm gonna have to reiterate that. I think that's pretty much like the main thing. But yeah. Keep going with this, and let me know what you guys are saying, what you guys think about this, because I feel like I'm alone in the world of people who just want their chicken sandwiches.
Anymore. So these protesters say that everyone here in this lineup is racist. Are you Muslim?
Yeah, Muslim.
Are you racist?
No, I don't believe so.
Are you Islamophobic?
I'm not Islamophobic.
You hate gays?
No, I don't hate gays.
But you like fried chicken?
I like fried chicken.
And that's
I like
why
Rebel News.
I'm definitely not racist, as you can
the-
tell.
We're black.
I'm just
But
saying,
also,
you know?
we're here for the chicken.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think they're protesting hate, causing division in our city.
Yeah.
We're just here to buy chicken. We came in peace. No one here in the line is causing any issues with anybody here.
You're in line here. The protesters are saying everyone here is racist. Are you racist?
I'm not racist.
Do you hate gays?
Nah, I'm cool with a couple of them.
Nice. You like fried chicken though?
Of course.
Are you homophobic?
Why would I? No.
Just like chicken.
I'm just here for food, yeah.
No, we're actually both gay and engaged. So, yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's awesome. So these protesters obviously don't represent you.
No, they don't. Me. They represent foolishness in my mind.
We haven't even spoken to anybody. So the fact that they're coming and it's kind of attack. It's attack against the people who came peacefully in the line to just buy some chicken. Right now,
LGBT organizations?
right now, I feel so attacked.
Do you know? You don't. I'm not being rude. I'm challenging your view. Do you know how many millions of dollars? Do you know how many millions of dollars? Do you know how many
Cluck off, dude. Cluck off, dude.
how many millions of dollars they put to it?
Just cluck off.
You're looking unhinged.
Yeah, so when I played this on the other stream, I said, and I'll reiterate right now, they always showcase themselves in the worst light, at the worst, like in the worst times. This lady's talking about how she feels attacked just standing in a lineup, and this man comes up and attacks her, who's supposed to be from the progressive left, once again, saying that it's a man attacking a woman. It just, everything, it's all double think. It makes no sense. What's happening? What's happening? Right in front of our own eyes, right? If you're blind to it, well, I urge you to continue to search and research and just investigate for yourself, because one day your eyes will open up. You'll see something that makes you think, wow, is this actually the side that I support? Are these the people that I've considered wholesome and where I want to be in life? Because that's where I was at. But yeah, so pretty much we'll end this video there. Not this whole video, but essentially in Toronto, there's a growing rhetoric of SJWism or progressivism, whatever you want to call it. If you're not on board, then you are just an outcast. You're not part of anything. And I have no problem with being inclusive. Obviously, Toronto and in Canada, we're a very multicultural nation, but that means accepting all people and every ideology, as long as it doesn't inflict on anybody's human rights. And you don't see open conversations. You see far left ideas being pushed, and if you don't agree, then you're berated, you're put down. Me, as a black man, I'd be considered racist. Come on. And obviously black people can be racist, but it's a really weird thing that they'd be saying that I'm racist against black people for supporting anybody who has a conservative point of view. It's a very interesting time that we live in, guys. But just to get into a little bit deeper around what is making Toronto such a wild place that seems as though it's almost a movie. We almost live in a movie. This is a city, right, that 3 years ago banned police from attending Toronto Pride Parade, right? So we're going to get into this a little bit. And from what I remember, also, before I start, I'm going to say, when I was researching this as well, I could not find any footage of protests that were happening at this time, which is so scary. So scary. I actually actively looked for these, which is a freaky thing to think of. This was only 3 years ago, and this started because Black Lives Matter protest the Pride Parade, saying that the police involvement was too triggering and they didn't want them involved, and yada yada yada. And the black gay community was saying that the Pride Parade didn't involve black people, and it was this huge, terrible, intersectional shit show. So I'll just play this quick little clip. Maybe it'll give a little bit more context into what was happening at this time. This is from 2017, right? So here you go, guys.
It's a familiar sight at Toronto's annual Pride Parade, uniformed officers marching to show their support, but not this year.
The presence of uniformed police, the presence of dozens of incarceration buses, of police forces from across this province actually do not make everyone feel safe.
Black Lives Matter brought last year's Pride Parade to a halt, demanding that police no longer be allowed to march as they face accusations of racial discrimination. Pride Toronto agreed, but not everyone wants the police out.
They've decided to come party with us for the last 10 or 15 years, and it's been great.
But others say Black Lives Matter has pushed Pride in the right direction.
I think that we've over-allowed police forces to sort of show up and get their credit for being pro-queer communities, and then they spend the other 364 days a year treating us like garbage.
Mistreatment by police helped to fuel the Pride movement more than 35 years ago. Many say Pride needs to return to its political roots.
This year, I'm going to attend Pride because we've stepped up, we're supporting marginalized people, and we need police reform in this city.
Despite the party atmosphere, organizers say this year's police ban shows they're taking the community's concerns seriously.
So I go all over the city and people stop me and they say, this is the parade I'm going to come to because it reflects me. I hope it's given the whole queer community a sense that there's a place for them at Pride Toronto.
But Toronto's police union says the ban is a slap in the face. About 100 officers, staff, and families have accepted an invitation to march in New York's Pride Parade on Sunday instead.
I'm not sending the message. I think that the Pride organizers have sent a message that it's pretty disgraceful that they would not allow Toronto police officers to appear in uniform in the parade.
Pride Toronto says it will keep the dialogue open with police.
What we're trying to do is say, let's understand what everybody across our community thinks and feels, and let's work together on what police participation looks like in the future.
Nicole Ireland, CBC News, Toronto.
Yeah, so as you could see, pretty conflicting between the force that had actively just been in the parade, thought that everything was fine, and apparently a new wave of individuals who thought they shouldn't even be there. And regardless of whether they should be in the parade or not, there needs to be a police presence at the parade. That only makes sense. Like, use your heads, people. It just kind of, I remember when this first came out, it really baffled me. I sat there and I thought to myself, Black Lives Matter, eh? This is the organization that wants my support as a black man. An organization that if I was to just continuously spit out the rhetoric, I could maybe become a leader in the forefront of the movement. But what type of rhetoric would I be espousing? What type of values would I be upholding? Where in life would I be? Well, probably farther ahead than I am right now, but how good would I feel about myself? Not good at all. And I have, I guess, more moral integrity than that. I stick to my beliefs, and you should as well, boys and girls. So, this is a little bit of an insight into the rhetoric that the leaders of Black Lives Matter were espousing around that time, that were getting people active and getting people wanting to ban the police from the movement, and the way that they were going about enacting this change of theirs. So here's some more perspective.
The community has been meeting halfway for a lot of times on a lot of these demands. I think it's important to realize. And that for us, these demands were accepted. And these demands were accepted as full. So we're going to hold Toronto accountable. We're going to hold Toronto accountable for the acceptance of those demands in full.
And understanding the symbolization of a police float. What does that mean for that triggering image to be a part of your pride? Like I said before, within the last 24 hours, we've seen 2 black bodies shot and curled by police. What does that mean when you are trying to be a part of pride, when you have a symbolic representation of your oppression, of your violence? We are asking for the removal of that triggering symbolism in order for all marginalized communities to be safe at pride.
So you're non-moving on that? There's no way you'll budge on that demand?
So those demands have actually come from community. So until we hear from community that community is willing to compromise their safety and their identity in their bodies, until we hear that, we're going to stay firm on those demands.
The question you asked was, why hasn't this come to the forefront previously? Well, maybe it didn't come to the forefront because media wasn't covering it, because there wasn't an actual investment in Black lives, and because it took halting the parade for 25 minutes before we were questioning the future of Pride, the role in police at Pride, and the contributions that Black people have made.
And I think the reality is when you break open something as huge as anti-Blackness within Pride, any person who's a part of the Black LGBT community is going to feel affected. They're going to be triggered. They're going to be in pain. They're going to feel unsafe. And what's happening within our community, of seeing the comments, of seeing the hate, of seeing people who are claiming that we are part of their community not sticking up for us, the reaction has been complete and utter dissolution and needing to do something about this.
I guarantee half of the crowd didn't even understand a word that she said. They just heard that she was angry and a black woman on stage, and they thought, oh, we better listen to her. But regardless, you see the anger in them, and the hate behind their words, and they, it comes from a place that they feel is correct, and a lot of these individuals have been. It depends on the situation. Some people have grown up under different circumstances, and some individuals have just been taught their entire lives a certain way of thinking. And then other people, it's all life perspective, but you should be open to learning, and it makes me a little bit leery when I see people that it's good to be passionate, but when your passion's driven by anger, that's a scary thing to see. And it's something that should be spoken up about and fought ideologically. You should question those thoughts, question those motives, question the direction that you're heading in, and always ask questions, guys. That's the main thing. Never just take what's being said and what's being told to you for granted. And so, as the years went on, the police continued to. They wanted to be in the parade. They also said they needed to be there for security. There were different things, and then there were lots of different demands actually that they had during the time. And I can't even go over them all right now because I don't care. And it ended up coming down to the police being in the parade, but not in uniform. And then I believe, who knows what's happening now, but this is just a little bit of a discussion about what's happening and how people feel later on. So this is another year, a year after they were actually banned. So the first year they were banned from the parade in general, I believe, and they just kind of kept an eye from the outsides. It's just a terrible thing to think of. This is the way that your city will go too if you let socialists take over.
You can find support for police on the streets of Toronto's gay village.
They're all citizens of Toronto.
But there's also frustration.
What this speaks to is underlying infrastructure issues with Toronto Police Services and a need to pull back and demonstrate some humility.
Tensions between police and the LGBTQ community have deepened this year as police charged Bruce MacArthur with 6 counts of first-degree murder, just 1 month after the chief insisted there was no evidence linking a serial killer to disappearances from the gay village.
Bruce MacArthur changed the nature of that conversation quite drastically.
So if you don't know about that story, that's like a completely different situation. We could get into that's like a whole story on its own. But there was recently a series of, well, the video's demonetized anyways. There was recently a series of murders that happened within the GTA, or the Greater Toronto Area, and they stemmed from the gay Toronto Village, I guess. And what ended up happening was it was a lot of gay men. They were pretty much all gay men that had gone missing, and this one dude ended up being found. It is a serial killer case. There's lots of information around it. It requires a lot of detail. So if you don't know anything about it, I didn't realize they were going to spring that on us.
But that conversation has always been tense. Pride itself was born from protest, a response to bathhouse raids by police. Over the years, police found a place in the celebrations until 2016. Activists with Black Lives Matter stopped the parade in its tracks, demanding uniformed officers not take part the following year because people of color might not feel safe.
This didn't start with Bruce MacArthur. This is a long, ongoing, generational conversation.
Becky McFarlane is a director of an LGBTQ support group.
The end result needs to be a different institution, a different way in which we live together in this city, and a different way in which we acknowledge that not all of us have the same or are afforded the same privilege and freedom in our city.
But the police union worries excluding officers could make things worse.
I don't think this fosters a positive conversation. I think it just drives a wedge deeper between the police and the community.
Pride Toronto disagrees.
So marching in a parade as a symbol of inclusivity only masks what the real problems are.
Any solutions are likely to come after this year's parade. Natalie Collada, CBC News, Toronto.
Okay, so I don't even know where to really unpack that. Clearly, like I said, not having the police there, it's not a good idea. It doesn't help bridge the gap at all. Apparently, leaders of the Toronto Pride Parade are willing to be on record saying that they disagree and that they think that that's the way to move forward in life. But yeah, that's just another little bit of information around why Toronto is becoming such an unbelievably ridiculous place to be and to see. You can see just in the interviews of certain individuals that we're really quick to showcase victim mentality and prop it up as something to be respected and something to be chased after and adored. It's like, oh, look at this victim. They've gone through so much. We must protect them. Look at this. This is our way that we do things because we're Canadian and we like to help others and we like to be kind and we like to be respectful. But sometimes you need to be respectful through a little bit of tough love. Plain and simple. That's all you get. So we're going to move on to the next little story here. And this whole thing is about Toronto. Everything here that we're talking about today is showcasing the move towards social justice being an actual problem in Toronto. And so obviously everybody's probably seen this video if you're watching my video, but this just is a good representation of the type of person that's in Toronto. This is a good accurate representation, the average individual that you would encounter walking down the street. And obviously there's so many people in Toronto. There's lots of nice, respectable individuals, but also there are a lot of people like this. And so that's what we're showcasing. Jordan Hunt. whatever happened to Jordan Hunt over here? Wavy Web Surf, if you have never looked at any of his videos, he takes a deep dive into the wild, wacky world of the internet and past internet sensations and things that are just really interesting. So go and give his channel a look. Oh, I just realized that you guys can't even see that, what I was looking at. But either way, got the shout out either way. So here we go. Check this out and let me know how you feel about it. If it makes you feel good, if it makes you feel bad, if you think he's in the right, if you think the woman's in the right, what do you think should have happened here?
What?
They actually have people filming you the whole time.
Cool.
Classic. Kill with kindness.
Guess what? Hey.
Destruction of private property. It's against the law.
Somebody gets raped by somebody and they're like, I'm a 16-year-old and I can't have this baby. Think you should keep it?
It's a baby.
Yeah.
If someone is raped and she gave birth and she decided to kill her 3-year-old child.
I meant to get your phone. Meant to kick your phone.
Do not touch me.
That classic line. I meant to kick your phone. Okay. Okay, come on now. Come on now, boys and girls. Like, look at that. We're gonna watch that one more time here and give a little commentary. So they're having a discussion. They're talking. They're doing their thing. And she's apparently pro-life and he's pro-choice. And he can't handle the fact that she's pro-life and that she thinks that someone that has a child in them should keep the child no matter what the circumstances are. I may not necessarily agree, but she's allowed to have that idea. And look at this guy. Look at him getting more erratic as he goes. Getting ready for that spin and boom, kicks her. Kicks her phone, but hits her as well. And screams out, I meant to kick your phone. I meant to kick your phone. Well, guess what? It doesn't matter now, buddy. But this is the type of thing. Oh, look at, there you go. Wavy Web Surf. Head on over there, guys. This is the type of thing that happens when ideologies go unchecked for so long and people live in an echo chamber, and then when they finally hear somebody disagree with them, they can't handle what's happening. They don't understand. They can't figure it out. I just wanted to play that because it really makes me absolutely sick. He needs to be showcased, and I don't believe he ever even received jail time or anything like that. Pretty sure he got off almost scot-free. I'd have to look into it a little bit deeper, but from what I've seen, the sentence did not fit the crime. If I went around and I kicked some woman on the street just out of nowhere because I disagreed with what she was saying, I guarantee that I would be in quite a bit of trouble. So figure it out, guys. This brings me to the last video. This is actually a classic video, has over 1 million views, and if you are aware of Jordan Peterson, you've probably seen this video. But this is the video that actually got him put on the map, I guess you could say. And essentially what it is he's standing in the courtyard, I believe, at Toronto University, and students are around him just berating him and screaming in this guy's face because of the whole pronoun situation. If you don't know Jordan Peterson, he refused to adhere to Bill C-16, which was demanding that individuals in a work setting use a subset of pronouns that didn't really have boundaries. So it could have been anything. If I told you that my name was Geckel, you need my pronoun was Geckel, you need to refer to me as Geckel. So Geckel said this, or when Geckel goes to do that, or whatever. I don't know. It's a strange thing that wasn't set in good bounds within the law, and that's essentially what he was protesting, as well as the right to not have speech imposed on someone. You cannot tell me that I am forced to call somebody something. Like, you cannot you cannot tell me that I need to use language and call somebody something that I may necessarily not even agree with. You're putting an ideology into law that isn't based in fact or reality. But regardless of that, those are personal ideologies, so you can hold a different belief. That's fine. This is the type of this is the way that you'll be treated in our society if you hold those types of beliefs. As you can tell, Jordan Peterson has been completely ostracized in the Canadian media and within the American media as well. He's considered an alt-right figurehead, a Nazi, all sorts of terrible fucking things, and it makes the claims are not based in reality. So we're gonna watch this video, and yeah, we're just gonna go through it. I may stop it and comment a few times because it's pretty long, and I don't like just watching the videos in full. Let me know what you guys are thinking in the comments below as well, because I like knowing what you guys are thinking. So let's keep the conversation going, guys.
I want to go talk to Peterson. Peterson, do you have any comments on the Nazi presence at your protest?
You mean
the presence of Nazis and white supremacists assaulting people at your protest? Do you have any comment on that?
Yeah, I don't like Nazis.
Then why are you?
Why were they here? Well, how can I answer
Are there views in alignment with yours? At some point, you have to realize.
That's a foolish question. Look, if you want to know.
We'll go back and I'll watch it again, but like it starts off with that. Like think about that. That's absolutely. It starts off with the way that somebody's thinking, and then the response, and he's so confused. Jordan Peterson, I want to speak to you about the Nazi presence at your rally or whatever the fuck he says. It's like, I don't like Nazis. It's like, oh, what are you talking about? Like that right there in those first fucking 3 seconds, that made me a fan of Jordan Peterson. Right, that was the first thing I'd ever seen of his, and that made me a fan. This guy walks up, calls him a Nazi, asks him about the Nazi present. He looks at him and says, I don't like Nazis. Like, what are you talking about? Like, get out of here, man. You sound crazy. And it just makes the guy sound crazy. It's ridiculous. He's basing his claims out of nowhere with no fact, and they're not based in reality. It's just, it's ridiculous.
I want to go talk to Peterson. Peterson, do you have any comments on the Nazi presence at your protest?
You mean
the presence of Nazis and white supremacists assaulting people at your protest? Do you have any comment on that?
Yeah, I don't like Nazis.
Then why were they here?
Well, how can I answer
Are there views in alignment with yours? At some point, you have to realize.
That's a foolish question. Look, if you want to know what my views are,
I've watched all of your videos. Yes.
Including
yes, I have.
Then why would you ask such a question?
Because this is my interpretation of your videos.
Apparently,
all of the people who arranged the protest against you watched all of your videos.
Like, do you want to disavow 150 videos on YouTube?
No, your lectures, which sparked the debate.
Okay. Do you want to disavow the support? Could you let me talk to her for a moment?
Don't call me that, please.
So, I have 150 lectures on YouTube. There's 500 hours of my views.
Do you really think that you're worth all of that time?
So look, I will answer your question, okay? I've studied Nazism for a very long time. It's been 4 decades, and I understand it very well. And I can tell you that there's some awful people lurking in the corners, and they're ready to come out. And if the radical left keeps pushing the way
that sounds very much like a
they're
threat.
Going to come.
That sounds very much like a threat. That sounds very much like a threat. Would you like to disavow the physical?
Like, as if this person can't understand what's being said to them. They can't stop for 2 seconds and actually listen to the words that are coming out of somebody's mouth. When you hear that, like that, when I first, it's like, yes, that is 100% true. I 100% do not disagree with the fact that there are some very, very terrible, scary people out there, and they are just lurking below the surface. They aren't out there in the mainstream. You don't see people out there that are like, yeah, I'm a fucking racist, I'm a Nazi, I fucking hate black people. But they're out there, and if these fucking leftists keep pushing people farther and farther right, these people will become emboldened, and they will be able to come to a point where they're like, hey, guess what? Let's fuck these people. Like, figure it out. Sorry for swearing so much. It just makes me so angry.
Physical violence. Trans people were physically assaulted at this rally in your name. Would you like to disavow that violence?
Yes.
So you wish that didn't happen, and you want to, and I'm going to post this online that you would like people to not to be more accommodating of trans people and people of color at your events in future.
I would like there to be no violence.
I'm a person of color, and I felt very accommodating here. I felt like my voice. Thank you very much.
I'm also former Muslim, and I feel like this guy is the best.
I'm a person of color.
You wanted to disavow, and this is the disavowal. I am not an advocate of violence. I'm speaking out the way I'm speaking out because I think this is a route to no violence. and violence is lurking, and you can say that that sounds like a threat.
There was no violence at our protest, though. There was violence at your protest. So what does that say about our views?
It's not my protest. You know, asking me continually freighted questions isn't very helpful if you actually want to have a dialogue. You have no idea if I'm your enemy. You have no idea about me.
You won't use my pronouns, so I'm pretty sure you're my enemy, yes.
Yeah, well, I know you think that, but I don't believe that using your pronouns is going to do you any good in the long run. I think it'll do quite the contrary.
What?
Is that your medical opinion?
What? Is that your medical opinion? Like, you are aware that non-binary people are valid in the American Psychological Association.
Is that your opinion?
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
It's about non-binary pronouns.
No, it's not.
Yeah, I'm saying that that's what I'm about.
Were you there when I spoke?
I've been here for this whole thing.
Okay, well, I don't know that. It's a genuine question. Look, I think that's what's happening is that we're pushing over a line we shouldn't cross. The newest legislation is requiring people to use.
But you are aware that that's being put in place so that we can't get fired. We need to be written into the Canada human rights legislation, or we can be fired for our gender identity. Well, then why'd you make a fucking video about it? I've been denied housing as a trans person. These rights would protect me.
Denied housing?
I've been denied housing.
From the state or for the open market? So have you been denied housing, like, from the government?
It's illegal either way if we had human rights.
From the government? Or have you tried to get a house like everybody else and they said, no, you're weird, you can't work? No, if the state has done that, that's a problem. But if someone doesn't want to live with you, that's their right.
They said, no, you're trans. Really so no, if I had human rights, that wouldn't have fucking happened.
Yeah, you're weird. I don't want to live with schizophrenic
people. As far as I'm
I don't want to live with
concerned,
people with bipolar.
that's a terrible thing. It's too bad that that's happened.
So you don't want us to, but you don't want us to have protections in the human rights bill that will allow me to have employment, allow me to have housing security, allow me to have medical care. That's what this is about. It's not about infringing on your rights or making you learn a new fucking pronoun.
I don't think that's what it's about. What evidence do you have that attempting to transform the way that people use pronouns is going to produce a positive effect on society?
Are you aware that there is a trans boy who killed himself in psychiatric care recently because he was continuously being misgendered by his care workers?
And that is my precise problem.
And there have been multiple recorded instances of trans people killing themselves because they are not being integrated into society. We are not looking for special treatment. We are looking to be able to integrate our...
It's really funny. I was about to say this, and it's funny because he's about to say it as well. This dude, right there, that guy, just way too erratic and getting really hyped and super angry and clearly just doesn't like those people. Yeah, I know the video is so messed up. He really doesn't like the people that he's talking to, and Peterson's about to be like, yo man, you just need to calm down, like you need to really relax yourself. And that's all I could think that whole time too. He was just like making fun of them and stuff. That's not the way to healthy a foster debate. This guy's gotta get out of there.
Ourselves into society, and if you refuse to refer to us by our pronouns, which is not allowed to ask, singular they pronouns go all the way back to Shakespeare. It's not a new thing. If you refuse to let us integrate ourselves into society, you create alienation that results in suicide. We are in a suicide epidemic right now. What are you contributing to this as a psychologist?
Man, you know, you're almost impossible to talk to. You're so full of rhetoric that it's impossible to listen to you. I would be more than happy to listen to you.
Yeah, really?
I was devoid of rhetoric. And I don't really think I am a rhetorician. Just so you know that. And you know, it's very hard to listen to you. I mean, it's very hard to attend to you
because
you rattle on in with your ideological speech.
It's not ideological. It's personal. That's what you.
It's not personal. You haven't said a personal thing.
I'm talking about something that affects my community.
It's just that when you say the things that you say, it tends, even if you didn't mean it to, it attracts people like neo-Nazis and fascists.
When it just switched to that second angle, I just remembered that this is the stem of that classic meme of "You're a fucking white male." Just to let you guys know.
An avenue is what you're saying. Even if that's not what you meant, they see an avenue in your in the idea of like a more abstract form of free speech. They see an avenue in that to continue to spread their hateful ideology and to make more people hateful. So that's why the Nazis come here. I just wanted to make sure that you knew that's why that was.
I'm perfectly aware of that.
I have a calm, rational question.
Okay.
I won't get emotional with you. So who is this legislation harming? Who is
harming anybody who wants to use their own words?
So in what capacities? Be specific.
Look, it's important that people are able to use their own words.
Okay.
Because that's how we think. And if the government starts legislating how we think, and
so
how
if
we
I
speak,
wanted to call you she,
are you going to let me
I'm playing off of what you're saying. If I wanted to call you she and her and miss, because that's my freedom of speech, and if everyone just called you that all the time, and that was the only thing.
Can't you tell?
I think that you don't care because you've never had to face that, and it's a common trend among people who have never had to face like transgender-related discrimination that you think it's not a big deal because you don't have to deal with it.
I didn't say I didn't think it was a big deal. I said I didn't care if people called me that.
Public institutions, but it does prevent us from accessing healthcare. It does prevent us from accessing other services.
I'm not arguing about your rights.
Yes, you are.
Yes, you are.
That's
about our rights.
For trans
I'm sorry. I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Do you realize that right now, if you were to kill a trans person, because only for the sole reason that they're trans, that would not be considered a hate crime. Sure, they could be convicted of murder, but not of a hate crime. And that's what this bill.
Back in the States, they can use a trans panic defense in almost all of the United States and get off by claiming temporary insanity because they were freaked out by the trans person.
I am not claiming for a moment that people who don't fit into standard and traditional sexual categories or sexual identity categories don't face all sorts of trouble. They do. I just don't think that this is the way to fix it. In fact, I think
do you not a law that legislates protections from discrimination for trans people?
Not this way.
You do not think that.
That's right. I don't think.
Have you read the laws are intentionally worded? Most laws involving human rights.
Much trouble to as many people as possible.
What would we gain from that?
There's a conspiracy of intent. I didn't say it was a conspiracy. You think there is a concentrated effort behind these bills in order to specifically make the lives of people worse, and that's why we create human rights legislation to make it.
I think that people often do things to make other people's lives worse. Don't you?
Well, clearly, as an example of this rally.
I am probably the most fervent anti-statist you will ever meet. I am an anarchist, and I do not believe that anyone who writes legislation has the interest of anybody but themselves and their special interest groups at heart. So don't come at me saying that I want to suck off the nipple of the government, okay? Because that's not who I am. What I'm interested is in that people I love are being assaulted, are being killed, are being discriminated against, are being kicked out onto the street, are freezing to death in the winter because they're being denied shelter. And I feel.
But pronouns are too much to ask for you to show solidarity towards those people.
Can I just have a moment?
Sorry.
Look, we agree that this is a thing that's happening. We agree that it's a reprehensible thing that's happening.
Okay, sure, let's agree on that.
I mean, I don't think that would be controversial to most people. I mean, apparently,
I agree.
Apparently, some people think. Apparently, to some people, we're freaks because we can't have families or whatever. But what okay, whatever. Maybe that's not something you agree with. I don't know. I'm not going to put words in your mouth in that regard.
I agree.
What I fail to understand is how you honestly feel, in your expert opinion, as both an educator, as an educated person, that not calling somebody by a pronoun that has been used to refer to individual people.
No, I think it's legislating it. It's legislating it as a necessity that I have an objection to.
Okay, so if this legislation was not on the table, if this legislation fails, let's say, if this is removed, you would be totally fine referring to me with they them pronouns.
Probably not they and them.
Probably not they and them. Why is that?
Well, because I don't think it's a tenable solution.
I don't think it's what?
I don't think it's a solution to the problem that you're trying to solve. I mean, it's not. It's not that easy to track. I know that's how you.
This is good, but also it seems like there's a troll in the chat, and that only exemplifies literally what I was just talking about earlier, like just 2 seconds ago. So you can keep talking because you're literally adding to the video. You kind of made my point. I kind of like that. We'll keep going here.
You were literally saying you can make up a word and make that a child's name, and you would refer to them by that name. Why is it different for a pronoun?
No, it's different because it's different.
No, it's just as core.
It's different because it's a pronoun for a lot of reasons. So one of the reasons it's different is that pronouns turn out to be very difficult to change. They're a closed linguistic.
Which is why we're using they them pronouns, which has historical continuity.
Yeah,
it is in the English language. It's in the Oxford English Dictionary.
It's nothing new.
As an educator, okay, hold on. Sorry, yeah.
You were asked, would you refer to me using they them pronouns? You said, no, I wouldn't. When asked why, you said, because I don't think it's a solution. When I brought up then it was basic respect and so on, what you said was, oh, I wouldn't do it if I was like coerced or whatever you said. Somebody literally just asked
would you do this for me? And you said, no, I would not show you that respect. I would not extend that amount of dignity to you.
That's not what I said.
Yes, you said
you
said
that you would not use they them pronouns
no,
for a person.
nobody
Yes, I
asked.
did say that.
Nobody asked anything about if I came like with a club and asked you to like use certain pronouns to refer to me.
What makes
but
you
I just asked, would you refer to me if it wasn't for this law and I asked you to refer to me with they them pronouns? Would you? And your answer was no.
Not if I was compelled to.
No. That's
But
not
we're
what
saying
you
if you
said.
weren't.
You said no, and then when I started asking you about, you said it wasn't a solution. When you were asked, what is it not a solution to? You said something vague. We said it's about basic respect, and then you said not if I was compelled to. So no, when you were just asked, as a matter of respect, in fact, would you refer to a trans person who asked you to use they them pronouns, a pronoun which has a several hundred-year historical?
But that's not what we're talking about.
Yes, it is, because it's legislation.
We're saying if it wasn't legislation.
I've got to stop, guys. There's too many of you.
Okay, one simple question.
I've had enough. Sorry, I can't do this.
One simple question.
No, I'm done.
I thought we were statistically irrelevant.
If it was
Well, yeah,
not
I mean,
for
like,
the law,
I don't
and
exist.
a trans person asked you, would you please refer to me by they and them pronouns? Would you refer to them by those pronouns?
Might depend on how they ask.
So no.
Why do you have the authority to determine
please
whether or
refer
not
to me.
Why do I have the authority to determine what I say? What kind of question
Why do you
is
have
that?
the authority? Let me finish. Why do you have the authority to determine whether or not an individual is worthy of you using their pronouns? Like if I asked you, would you please use they them pronouns for me? What?
It would depend on what I
What
thought of your
hoops do
motivation.
you want us to jump through?
Those are my pronouns. Those are my
There's no
pronouns.
motivation.
No, I know no one ever has any motivation.
We're
Those are my
trying to
pronouns and I want
survive.
to be-
Politics are a product of our lives, and that's trying to live.
We're trying to survive. That's all we're trying to do. If you don't do this, I'm just going to literally wither away and probably die. All I'm trying to do is survive. Can you not see that? Please. Just call me they, them. That's all I want. That's all I need. I'm just trying to survive. There's no agenda here. Jesus. But, yeah. Okay. Let's keep going. There's really not too much more of this video, but it's still funny. Still funny to see.
In this world, we're not trying to live in this world as a product of our
you want me to
politics.
send you
I was
flowers?
apolitical before I came out as trans. I got into politics because I needed to survive, to advocate against people like you, no offense. I have one quick question. Okay, so they them pronouns are written into the Oxford English Dictionary, the Merriam-Webster Dictionary. It's actually the word of the year this year. And it does have historical continuity all the way back to Shakespeare. It is objectively an English word, singular they pronouns, grammatically correct. Do you think that you can choose to not respect something that is in the English language as a professor, as an academic, that you are going to that you are
Absolutely. I am choosing
but
to
you're
use
wait,
it.
you're ignoring rules of the English language to go out of your way to disrespect students.
That's your opinion, and I'm not going
It is
to
my
to
opinion.
disrespect students.
We're saying it's disrespectful
Anyway,
to our
I'm sorry,
language.
You don't get to decide what's disrespectful to us.
He doesn't get to decide what's disrespectful to them, but they don't get to decide whether or not he cares. And yeah, that's pretty much that. That's where I was at with that video. I remember when that first came out, and I thought to myself, who is this guy? Instead of thinking, oh wow, I really want to go and use they them pronouns, I thought to myself, who's this guy who's standing up for himself and sticking it to the establishment that we so commonly adhere to. Yeah, pretty much that's where I'm at with this. Just giving a little showcase around where Toronto has been heading for the past few years, and the type of environment that is around me here. I think that I should probably get out and be doing some in general, in-person, on-the-ground interviews. Go out and go to some of these protests and see what people are saying and get a real-world perspective, because as you can see, when you try to look it up on YouTube, you can't even find any videos. So maybe that's not a good idea. Maybe my channel will be completely suppressed if I try to showcase any real events that are happening around me. But let me know what you guys are thinking and how you feel about what you've seen here, how you feel about Toronto in general. what your city is like and where you live, and how what you see with this whole progressive nature, and just what you think in general. Do you think that it's a good idea? Do you think it's a bad idea? Do you think we're heading in the right direction? Do you think that things are going too far? Do you think they haven't gone far enough? What's on your minds? And yeah, pretty much that's where we're gonna end it for today. That's gonna be the stream for the day. But I will be back tomorrow. I'm gonna be streaming every day. They may not be this long, but they will at least be happening every day, because I've been gone. The channel has been dying, and I would really like to keep this going. So if you have any ideas for future streams, make sure to drop a comment below and let me know what you're thinking. You can always hit me up at the opendebate321@gmail.com. And also, if you have any, if you'd ever like to debate yourself and come on the channel, have a little interview, I'm always open to discussing ideas with almost anybody, as long as we could have a good conversation and it's not just going to be an argument. So, with that being said, my name's Elder. This is the Open Debate. Be your own hero, kids.